Hey everybody, this is Ben, and welcome back to another episode of the ComputerCraft Challenge, where the challenge is for me to record correctly. Uh, Sorry everybody for this episode being a bit delayed. I was all pretty much set to have it out on Monday, and I realized like 90% of the way through recording an episode that I didn't have my recorder set up correctly, so every time I tabbed out to the code, it was still recording the Minecraft window. Ouch. So that all had to be scrapped. And then I didn't have another good chance to record where everything would be quiet around here until just now, which is, we're actually all the way on Wednesday morning here. So anyway, I did a bunch of work on the code instead of recording. Over here, I'm having some trouble with Klaus. I was trying to build up some charcoal reserves here. So I've got a bit of charcoal saved. Oh, I think I had his extra there. He's going nuts. Yeah, I have his inventory in my inventory. He was going nuts. He was digging out my wall and everything. But I was trying to build up some charcoal. I set up this furnace with hoppers since Sherman has passed long ago. Let me just double check. He's still gone. Yeah, Sherman. All right, he's done for. So anyway, I have all my turtles here. These guys are all just extra. They're just randomly, they're auto-named by the client script. And they are all just sitting here. All my stuff has startup scripts on it now too. So when I come in, hopefully all this will be working better. So you can see the relay is very busy here. Main console is pretty busy. This console looking good. We've got, was that activity? Yeah, oh wow. Activity just ticked over. It's like going to 99,000 miles. Or 999,000. So anyway, the turtle details are looking good here. I kind of refined the interface a little bit. I got the locations to transmit, but I realized that they're much too long. And simply, I could move them over like one character for now, but that wouldn't fix it because as soon as this middle character goes to 3 characters long, and then of course it's very easy to go 4 characters long and not too difficult to go 5 characters long. So it's so on and so on. Essentially, I'm going to have to think of a different way to display the location. Maybe I can do 3 lines. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Anyway, I don't want to mess with that today, but we got our pagination working here, and I got just the arrow that appears, so that it doesn't have an arrow over here when you can't go to the right. That's all looking good. And then that's about all I updated on there, that stuff. Let me see, I covered that. All right, so then adding the new server over here. This guy, this is the mining control server. This will connect to the main central server to find out what turtles, this central server will control what turtles are assigned to this server. And that will be the case with several systems. That this thing will assign turtles to, like I'll have the mining server, I'm going to have like an inventory management server. Someone kind of gave me an idea, probably do this in the ComputerCraft Coders series, but for like an auto crafting system. So I might do an auto crafting server, but at any rate, this is the mining server. I do not have it running, so let me control mining. So this did not have a GUI the last time I tried to record, but last night I had time. It was kind of loud and crazy, but I was able to code. So we have a GUI, and you can see here. This is over here. We have the status of the system on hold. You click. Single click, it goes active. I don't have any turtles assigned to it, so nothing's going to happen. But you click again, it's on hold, so it won't send turtle commands while it's on hold. All the turtles will just kind of sit there waiting. Once they finish their current activity, anyway, I don't have it set to interrupt their activity yet. That requires a rewrite of the client script on the turtles, which I will do. But at any rate, then you can set the state of these various positions, and you can see these represent chunks in the Minecraft world. I had to do a little bit of math to figure out where chunk borders are, so it will accurately, you can accurately assign, where it will mine by using the skipped. You can complete chunks, you can set chunks to working, available. So like H here, this is the home chunk, and it automatically determines that based upon the position of this computer. It either uses a GPS system to get its location, or you have to enter its X and Z coordinates, and it will use that. So, keep that accurate, because that's to prevent turtles from mining itself out. If turtles mine it out, then obviously it can't send the turtles commands. So anyway, you can go ahead and choose, whichever one you want to assign to things, and just go ahead and say like, okay, here, you're working on these chunks, and it'll send turtles. It will favor those. It won't exclusively use the working chunks, but it will favor those. So I can set those back to available, which just is the default status, meaning that it hasn't even looked at those yet. And then the skip, I have it set to a bit of a buffer around the home chunk around here, because I don't remember which direction is which right now, but I think if I set that, I don't want stuff to mine out my tree farm though. I'll have to figure that out. It's not actually operational at the moment, but yeah, it's kind of a cool little GUI that you can set up. Don't mine these chunks, and this will follow the same mining pattern as Sidekick has always done. And I also have this one set up with persistence, which is something I should have been adding to everything. So if I go ahead and terminate and reboot, it comes back up with the same layout in there. So that is all working beautifully after 4 hours of debugging. I wrote the majority of this script, which I will now tab over to and correctly record here. Oh, sorry, let me zoom in a little more. There we go. I set this font to bold. I hope that helps everybody. I noticed it was a little wispy looking in several of the recent videos. I thought I had it set to a better setting than that. But anyway, bold. So this is the server, or the server code. And this mainly, although I can only say about 50% of it now, wrote during breaks, lunch, slow time, whatever, at work. So this was like 400 lines of this or so was like just randomly off the top of my head, like not even tested once. And I'm really happy with how few bugs so far have cropped up in it. Haven't obviously had any turtles mining yet. So anyway, let me just, I'm not going to go through all this code. I'm just not. Because if I scroll for a while, you get an idea the amount of code that this actually is taking. And of course, when we get to the bottom, you can see we're at 651 lines. And I'm not going to go through that line by line like I've done in some past videos. That would be like 2 hours, at least, of just going, oh, this line does this. I'm just going to give you a quick overview, perhaps, of a few of the main functions here. So, I mean, I've got just tables that hold this list chunks. This is the main one. This holds an array. Well, not even an array. It's just a table. I like to single dimension everything. But so that holds all of the chunks, and then there are subtables and so on to give me the status of specific coordinates within the chunks and so on. The working chunks are the currently active ones. It will favor that table to look for places for the turtles to mine first. But if it doesn't find anything, it will automatically search all chunks, including ones that it hasn't even seen yet. All those available ones that have no data on them. Assign turtles, I don't get anything there. Drop-off nodes, I haven't set that up yet either. So this script is even going to get longer, isn't it? Man. Let's count turtles 0. Oh, here we go, max home distance. That's something I forgot to add as well. That you can set a maximum distance that it will send turtles away from the home chunk. That's to try to allow for like chunk loading and stuff to let this system run. When you're not around, you could set to say like, okay, don't go more than a couple of chunks away because the turtles won't be able to go there. They're unloaded. So now getting into save all, obviously. This is actually, it's really easy to save even a huge amount of data in a file, pardon me, for persistence, that when they're tables, or even when they're not tables actually, some of these variables are not tables. I just stick them in a table with this little red bracket here, and make it a huge table. There's tables and subtables and subtables and so on. And you just serialize this huge sucker of a table and write it to a file. Really easy. Then loading, you just, I see if this mining.save file exists. I open it up for reading, and when I write it this time, I overwrite every single time. I'm not trying to deal with appending or anything. It overwrites everything every time you save. But that's cool because you always want only the current state. The load all opens up that save file in read-only mode, and then here's the same list of variables and tables and whatnot in the same order. And then all you do is you read all right here. Load is the file right here. Sorry. So load, and Then you do a load.readAll. Reads in the entire file. You take your text utils, you unserialize, because that was all written in a big serialized string to that file. You unserialize it, and that will give you this table right here that I created. I'm really happy about this, how easy this was. I was worried it was going to take longer and be more complicated. Oh, excuse me. So then this handy little unpack function, which I just absolutely love. This thing is so useful. This takes a table and it splits up each element of the table into like a comma delimited series of values so that you can do this kind of assignment where you just have a comma delimited series of variables which are set to the same set of values over on this side. So it's really, really simple. Like it's just this here, what is this? It's 18 lines of code. Handles the persistence for the absolute entire, and actually this is all just nicety stuff right here. I don't even need that. So it's like 15 lines of codes to handle persistence for this entire script. Handles everything, and I can add variables on here. I can do blah blah or blah there, and then all I have to do is add blah here. And so then whenever you call a save, which I have several places in the script already, it will write out blah in this position, and then you just put that in the same order here, and it'll load that back in when you do a load, which I only have happen when you start the script in the first place. So yeah, that is the easy way to do persistence. I am super thrilled. So moving on to the actual mining part. Here's are some just regular old functions. Send serialize. That's the same function you'll see throughout all of the scripts in this system. That's just the packet formation for the format that my network requires. Ident to array here. This is something that I ran into because sometimes I use string identifiers for chunk and specific shaft coordinates. I transform that into an XZ coordinate string. So it's X comma Z in a string for the identifiers for in many tables. So this is just a little function that I ended up having to write to reverse that process, which returns an array with X and Z down here split out. That I need that occasionally because sometimes I want the exact coordinates to increment or decrement them for mathing like neighboring stuff or whatever. But whatever, that's not super important. I could have probably gotten along without it if I had just been a little bit more masochistic towards myself and how I coded this, but I wanted to just get it done. So here we go. This one, chunk distance, gives me the distance between two chunks. That's used for finding the next available chunk. I don't want turtles to make a long trip. Get shaft chunk. This gets the chunk. I have given myself notes here. That's how long this script is. I never comment anything, but this one's long enough I needed to have a description. So this one tells me what chunk that the XZ world coordinates are in. And it returns me down here, and I have some of these functions have this little array qualifier. It's optional. Array equals array or false right down in this area. So if you don't provide it, it defaults to false. That's all that means. So you don't have to provide the third parameter there. That just tells it, well, this is a special case, return an array. So if you want to return an array, then it returns chunk X, chunk Z. Otherwise, it returns this thing here where it concatenates into a string. Chunk X, comma, chunk Z. And that's chunk coordinates. That's not world coordinates. That's used in that main list chunks array for the key to identify chunks. And so then we have here, get the next shaft. This is just basically is part of the, well, actually that's actually all of the math that provides the zigzaggy shaft locations. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, except that I have it calculated by row. So I don't have it go up and over. It just goes up 5, up 5. And then once it leaves, it's gone out of the chunk, it says, oh, that's in the next chunk. I don't care about that. So then we go back to the beginning, and we start here, and it says, oh, this is I don't remember if it's even or odd. X coordinate even, maybe? I don't know. That's something I would have to read my code again more closely to remember. At any rate, every other row, oh, you know what? Yeah, shoot. This is, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of rewriting on that. See, I had my offset wrong at first, so now it's gonna be 2, and then it's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, and then 3. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to redo that. It's a good thing I don't have any turtles out mining. They'd be doing a terribly inefficient pattern. But so yeah, I'll file that away to be rewritten. So back to the code. I'll try to blaze through the rest of this. Get chunk shaft. This gets all the shaft locations in the given chunks, and this uses the get next shaft function quite a lot. So that's what that is used within. I actually don't use it anywhere else. Check chunk progress. This is to mark off chunks that are completely mined out. It checks all the shaft locations within that chunk. If they're all done, then it marks the entire chunk is done. Get chunk status. This just tells me like if the current chunk is available or not. This is used in the GUI as well as in the actual determination of where a turtle should go. Set chunk status. That's used just by the GUI. That's just how when I'm clicking on the screen, this sets the status. And this has to populate like some subtables and stuff like that. And get shaft status, pretty self-explanatory, returns that status for the shaft specifically. This is not for the chunk now, sorry. And set shaft status. This is used when a turtle returns saying, hey, I finished that job. It'll set that shaft as done. Get free shaft. This gets the next shaft available for a turtle to mine in. And this can possibly, it only searches a single chunk, that's it. So this is just for within this chunk. If it, this is a call from within another function, which is called from within another function. There's a lot of steps to get down to find your free area. This is used to find more chunks to go to, and this is where I have the max home distance, which is set to 3 right now. It only goes 3 blocks from the home chunk. This gets the first neighbor of a finished, of a available. Wait, what is this doing here? Neighbors. Oh, this is just you provide a chunk coordinate. That's it. Yeah. Okay. So then it gets a free neighbor. Get new chunk. This is a big one. This is called when a turtle's looking for a new chunk to mine in. Oh, this is all. I mean, unless I go through this in detail, this is going to be really boring, but essentially you say here it loops through the working chunks, and then because it's basically saying if you need a new chunk, then obviously the working chunks doesn't have a chunk for you to work in, even though you could have like 5 or 6 turtles working currently in a chunk, so it's not complete, but turtle number 7 and 8 don't have any shafts left to dig in there, so they're looking for work, so they get a free neighbor from the working chunk here. And then if there's nothing adjacent to working chunks, there's no place to go. Check adjacent to everything completed or skipped. So this is in case that fails to get a new chunk. And then if this fails, then we look next to the home chunk, just in case. That's probably where it will default to on the first run if you don't block out any additional chunks as skip. And then finally give up. So then, get new shaft. This is for within a chunk. And okay, that's pretty much the end of the actual code for assigning turtle stuff. So let me go review that. Basically, the way it works, a turtle will send a message in saying, ping saying it's idle. This server says, oh, okay, you need work, assuming that the turtle is assigned to mining. So the turtle is assigned to mining. It says, hey, I'm idle. This server says, oh, you need work. So that comes in past the GUI stuff. Here we go. RedNet message coming on down to idle right here. If the turtle message part 3 is idle, then send next command. Which if we highlight that and scroll back up, here we go. Send next command. So this is if take control, meaning if that little button on the server is set to active. Whoa. Here we go. This is active, which I won't leave it on for just OCD wanting it not to run. So if set to active, if the button is set to false, it's set to on hold, then return. Don't give it a new command. it'll happen every time the turtle pings that it's idle. Assuming the take control is true, meaning it's active, then we go ahead and we take, it passes in the turtle ID that's wanting the command, and we go through the assigned turtles. That ID, we get part 2 of its subtable, which is its coordinates. So that's also information that is sent over by that ping every so often. So then we get a new shaft here, which this get new shaft, this will cascade down through, get new shaft, get new chunk, all that stuff, just to bring back a new shaft identifier for this this turtle to go to. So that's why you can see, oh, that's actually an array. Okay, this might have a bug in it when it first runs. That's the thing that happens sometimes. I'm not paying attention. Get new shaft. What does get new shaft return? Well, we'll get to that when we actually run a turtle through this sucker. Probably not until next episode, though. So this grabs a new shaft, which is it's just one line here, but that's a huge cascade of code. That's like 300 lines of code, probably, that will cascade down through just in an effort to return back a unused, X and Z coordinate where the turtle can dig straight down and check the walls for ore. Then you set that shaft status, whatever format that's supposed to be in, to the ID of this turtle. So that is going to be part of my persistence that I believe that when the system reloads, it should know, it'll still know what turtle's assigned to what shaft. Although, like, the turtles should, I'm not sure, I don't think the turtles will be able to resume that. We'll probably have to have the system resume them. And then you set the 2x and 2z, you unpack these coordinates that it got from new shaft, which I probably need to add, now that I'm thinking of it. I bet that's an identifier, that's a text string. So I can't unpack a text string without doing my ident to array. There we go. So that'll bring back an array, then you unpack it, 2x, 2z, then this sends commands on over to the server, to the central server, to send onto the turtle. Since you realized this command that tells the server it's a command for a turtle, I forgot to put the turtle ID in there. I'll look into that. This, as I put my note here, rough commands, not certain of the program names on the turtle end. This is not tested. This is not run ever, even once. So essentially, it's going to tell that turtle, go to these coordinates. It's going to use the y coordinate that was given for the turtle here, assuming the turtle is at a sufficient height. Save that. A sufficient height to travel around the world. I'm thinking like y level, maybe 100 or so. So it won't run into any obstacles except potentially other turtles. So it'll travel around at that height that it was when it said, okay, I'm idle, I'm ready for work, to that x and z coordinate, and then it will run the mineshaft program, which I have not yet written. And so once the turtle's done with that, the mineshaft program will return it to the same y height. It will then reply, hey, I'm done, that's completed, I need more work, and this whole thing will start over again. You assign a lot of turtles to the system, this sucker will mine out the world in really, really fast time. I don't know how long it will take, but we'll do some testing on that one day. It might take some time to get there. And so then beyond this, below all this, I have my stuff out of order here, but whatever. This is all my set theme stuff for stuff on the screen. Makes it easy to have my colors the way I like. Draw the sidebar. This is all pretty much just drawing these little guys over here. And when I click, putting that little asterisk next to the one I have selected. Blink. I love that. And so all gooey stuff, we draw the grid. That's actually this entire section of the screen is real simple. Just sets the color based upon what status the chunk that corresponds to, that spot on the screen corresponds to, has. And this draw grid here is called from handle screen, where you supply draw grid with the width of the grid, because I wanted to be able to vary the width of the sidebar without too much difficulty, and the starting X and starting Y chunk location. And so the centered chunk here is something that will be settable. I'm going to add, like, you can use the arrow keys. You'll be able to scroll around this part of the screen so that you can set stuff that's even way farther away from your home chunk. Although I don't know how useful that's going to be, because we're already running up, even on this screen here, vertically not so much, but horizontally this extends way beyond what chunks are loaded when you're standing in the home chunk. So yeah, this is going to be a system that will be running into some chunk loading issues, I'm sure. So this is just all of the click handling for the screen. We assume that button is number 1. It's a regular click. If I right click, nothing should happen over here. Let me just check that. Yeah, right click is doing nothing. I didn't test that one. Okay, so, and then all kinds of math that's hard coded in here for all of the button locations, except for when you're on the grid part of the screen. This is where it sets the chunk status, and thanks to simplifying some of my math here, you take the start X grid, or the start X chunk coordinate plus the screen grid coordinate where you clicked, and that will be the chunk that you clicked on. I'm glad the math worked out for that. So that is more or less it for the mining script. I would have liked to definitely have a turtle running through it, but I kind of don't want to just cheat a turtle into that, and that would be very difficult to do anyway. To essentially, I mean, like, manually run into the code and assign a turtle to the system, because the central server has to know the turtle is assigned to the system as well. So that is that. We mainly have a lot of code and a pretty sweet looking GUI, if I do say so myself. So thanks everybody for watching. The next time I put out an episode, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get one next week, because this one took so long. I'm already a day behind on the amount of coding I'd be able to do for the next episode. So I will get the next episode of ComputerCraft Challenge out as soon as I possibly can. It probably maybe next week. I'm gonna try. I will really try, but it might not be till the week after that. We're coming up on where I said I'm going to end the ComputerCraft Challenge series, because this is seriously, we are not surviving any longer. But I'm just gonna finish out to episode 50 on this map. Maybe I'll get Klaus over there working correctly on his mining stuff again. See, I've run into little bugs in my system. So I'll be going all the way up to episode 50, at which point I will finally be able to ditch this world and move on to current Minecraft version 1.6.2. I will bring all of the scripts, and I think I might just, I don't know if I'm going to continue to call it the ComputerCraft Challenge or not. It seems I face plenty of challenges created by myself, doesn't it? So thanks everybody for watching, and I will catch you the next episode.